From adults to children, the pandemic has forever changed life around the world. Among the millions adapting to a new normal are kids right here in Hawaii. Tonight, we'll speak with students and teachers about learning to live through COVID and how they've evolved. Right now, there are more than 174,000 students enrolled in Hawaii's public school system. Although full in-person classes have resumed, performance throughout the pandemic has slipped. Proficiency in math fell 11%. Hawaii's Department of Education also reports an 11% drop in science over the same time period. Proficiency in language arts declined 5%. As we found out, this unprecedented crisis impacted everyone.
March 16th, 2020, spring break began. They didn't know it yet, but thousands of students, including Campbell High freshman Justice Ahulau, had already spent their last day on campus for the rest of the school year.
It was actually really hard because our teachers didn't know what to do.
A wave of coronavirus locked down the nation, wiping out in-person instruction and leaving a virtual classroom.
It was a quick scramble to learn how to do everything online.
We weren't going to be coming back for the rest of the school year. And that's when things started to get real to us.
It was so sad because you couldn't come out of your house and go play.
August 17th, 2020, the new school year began, but the pandemic was far from over. Some students were back on campus, others in blended learning, while many remained at home.
For some kids, it was great. I think for most kids, it was like, okay, this is what we have to do, but we'd much rather get back to school.
It was really just difficult for me to stay on track.
February 12th, 2021, 11 months after students first entered into distance learning, the Centers for Disease Control released in-person learning guidelines.
I want to be able to be fully reopened by the summer, but we're going to keep staging this up safely.
But school superintendent Christina Kishimoto said the DOE wasn't ready. The months without being on campus, seeing teachers and friends, took an emotional and academic toll.
I'm not even going to sugarcoat it or lie. I did not do well at all.
I missed being in school a lot, just being around people and kind of having just fun with everybody.
August 3rd, 2021, nearly a year and a half since the pandemic began, most students were back in the classroom.
Being here back at campus, it feels amazing.
It was so awesome. It's like I said, I wanted to reach out and touch him, but I couldn't.
Remember the old time.
For Aikahi Elementary 4th grader Addison Rose and her friends, this school year feels almost normal.
It's just a relief to finally go play with my friends and have fun.
And we are now joined by our student panel. Thank you for being here. Certainly a milestone to see everyone in person. Thanks again for being here. Kanoe, I wanted to start off with you. You're from Sacred Hearts. Talk about the moment it got really real for you with COVID.
Well, so we had just gotten right onto spring break. Everyone was really happy because, we just started getting back into the feel of things, starting high school for the first time, or freshman year, and, it's time for break. We were all thinking we're gonna go outside, we're gonna have fun, meet up with our friends. And then we started getting emails. It was like, oh, we're gonna extend it back another week. And so we were like, oh, extra break time, sounds so exciting. But after a while, it wasn't really that fun anymore. So it was definitely an interesting experience.
Absolutely. Joshua, you're a senior at Kamehameha Schools. When COVID first happened, basically it wiped out song contest. And I know that was really emotional. As a Kamehameha grad, I know that's emotional, right?
Yeah, so we were initially all kind of excited that we could have an extra week or a few extra weeks of spring break, but it kept getting longer and longer. And when the announcement that song contest would be canceled came out, everyone was just so distraught because this is something that we were working for this entire year. I think that was the point that it all kind of settled in, that this isn't something that's going to be here and going to leave. It's going to be here for a long time, longer than we ever initially realized.
Angel, you're at Hilo High, you're a senior. What was it like for you, for someone who's on the neighbor island?
For the most part, what the real challenge was really being able to learn in a different environment, and especially being in like your own bubble virtually. And so that has certainly been a challenge in terms of academics and mental health wise as well. There's not that interpersonal connection that we used to had in person compared to in person versus online.
You bring up an important point that sometimes gets overlooked, and it's mental health and our well-being. Taylor from Waipahu High, what was it like for you, especially during the Delta surge when everyone was really on a heightened state?
Well, although the pandemic did bring about the importance of mental health, taking care of yourself, and taking care of your loved ones, it was super hard sometimes because you couldn't just lean over for help, you know, from one of your classmates or from one of your friends. You really had to rely on yourself and whoever was closest to you.
Did you feel that some of your classmates were just becoming disengaged? Because it's so hard to stay focused from a computer.
Oh, definitely. For me personally, throughout the year, I mean, I'm a super motivated student in school, but once the pandemic hit, sitting in front of a computer screen for about 6 hours for 5 days a week was super difficult. I felt super unmotivated at times, and I'm sure the other students here can vouch for that too, but self-discipline is super important, and I know that not every student has that.
Erin, talk about your experience at Waialua High School and you know, being on the North Shore, but also trying to stay focused at the same time.
Just like Taylor, I'm also a very motivated student, but from my friends' point of view, it's been very hard for them just because they're not as motivated as me, and sometimes we don't have the resources to kind of supply our needs being a small school. But there's some pros to that because being in such a small school and tight-knit community, the teachers are very close to the students. So in terms of mental health, they're always there for us, which is a big plus on our end.
Now I know that several of you are involved in athletics, and Namaka, you were able to compete in your first competition since 2019 in cross country. What was it like for you at Molokai High, going months and months and months not competing?
It was definitely a discouraging feeling when I found out that I couldn't run my junior year. I had a feeling that I was going to become a pretty good runner in my junior year, but it was super exciting when I got to know that we're going to come back my senior year. I feel like it was such a long wait. And
school and athletics, I mean, it really goes hand in hand. One of the things, you know, with the Delta surge, you could go on social media and you could see people who were expressing that, you know, they had gotten COVID or they had lost someone from COVID. Josh from Kamehameha, you have a personal story.
Yeah, so my sister was diagnosed with COVID just when the school year was about to begin in early August. Our entire family had been vaccinated. She already had her first shot of Pfizer, but not the second. So when she got COVID, it was such a shell shock for all of us. And it's something that can affect anybody at any time. And I think that a lot of people need to understand that too.
Is she okay now?
Yes, yeah. She made a full recovery and is now fully vaccinated.
I'm so glad she's doing much better. And you know, especially during the Delta surge, I remember just getting these notifications from our school administration. There's another case and another case and another case. And it's really traumatizing to see those letters. And Kanoe, I see you're nodding your head. It's something that you had to go through too at your school.
It was it just gives you a lot of fear because you're sitting there and you're like, okay, so I'm a close contact, which means that I have to go and I have to go and get tested for it. If there's a possibility that I do have it, that would have meant that for me personally, as I live with my grandparents, I would have brought that back home to them. And so me, you know, kind of making that choice and being the one that got to make the choice to go back to school, knowing that there was a possibility that, you know, I could have contracted it and then brought it back to my family, gave me a lot of guilt. And I feel like that's something that sometimes, you know, we need to be more open about and talk about with kids specifically because we don't really know how to process through that. And I'm sure not even adults know how to.
Erin, academically, what was it like for you to really try to keep up amidst everything that's going on?
It was really, really hard. Not only my motivation, but my confidence just lowered just because I just knew that maybe we weren't going back to school anytime soon. So, you know, what's the point of, trying to bring my best self out? You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Angel, how did you push through all of that?
I think the virtual setting has certainly challenged my motivation and also my work ethic. I learn best when things are taught to me in person. And so I think learning things virtually, although there's still fantastic resources that I can use, of course, but I think part of my guidance in learning is having a teacher sit next to me and actually teach the content that they want me to learn.
Yeah. Namaka, as an athlete, you are trained to be focused on that goal. How did you push through all of this when it was so devastating for a lot of people?
For me, it was definitely a struggle, but made it. How I got through was definitely my family and my grandparents that got me through.
Talking with teachers, educators are also learning through COVID. Their stories next.
Our students are our future. On behalf of more than 170,000 students, mahalo for your support for keeping our schools open and safe for in-person learning.
At Kamehameha Schools, we keep Keiki at the center of all that we do. We're asking you to help to keep all of our children in school. Mahalo nui loa.
What is an Oiwi leader? Do they move people with their words? Do they let their actions speak? Do they breathe life into the past? Do they have a vision for the future? We celebrate every Oiwi leader who are all of these things and more. Together, they're helping our Lahui rise.
The Hawaii Carpenters Union urges everyone to do their part to help stop the spread of COVID so our keiki can stay in school and look forward to a brighter future.
What is an Oiwi leader? Do they move people with their words? Do they let their actions speak? Do they breathe life into the past? Do they have a vision for the future? We celebrate every Oiwi leader who are all of these things and more. Together, they're helping our Lahui rise.
Our children are our future. Join us in support of keeping our schools open for Hawaii's keiki.
Now more than ever, Hawaii needs to remain strong.
We need to work together to overcome this challenge.
Don't forget to do your daily wellness check.
Wear your mask in public.
And get vaccinated when you are able.
We love being back in school.
In a classroom with our teachers and friends.
We need your help in doing your part.
We are all partners in this because we are
Hawaii Strong.
Hawaii Strong.
Hawaii Strong.
In-person learning is critical to a child's physical, mental, and emotional health, as well as their overall well-being. Let's keep our schools open to create a healthier Hawaii.
We are always tracking severe weather to keep you safe.
First alert, we're watching a storm.
We are first to bring you breaking news.
We are holding authority accountable.
Use those body camera videos.
We are digging deeper to get results.
Investigation reveals new details.
We are reliable with updated and accurate information, however you get it.
We are committed. A first alert for drivers, there is a stall.
We are here for you. We are Hawaii News Now.
We support keeping students in class, and we thank schools and teachers for their hard work to keep our kids and our future on the right track.
More than half of educators polled across the country believe there was a significant loss of emotional learning during the pandemic. This includes critical skills of communication, self-awareness, and self-management.
Let's go to our teacher panel, and I wanted to thank all of you for joining us today. Carissa, why don't I start off with you? You're a first grade teacher at Mai'Mai Elementary. What was it like welcoming back first graders who hadn't really even been to school for the entire pandemic?
It was interesting. No, it was a lot of fun. It was exciting for me to meet them and see them in person. But at the same time, I have students coming from all over the place. You know, some have not been to preschool, not been to kindergarten at all. And so the first time they ever saw a desk and sat in a chair and ever had to raise their hand to use the restroom, the first time they did that in their entire life was, you know, this August. And a third of their life has been kind of in a mask and social distancing and in a pandemic. So most of what they remember is what we're living in now. And so, yeah, it's been a challenge, but it is exciting that I get to help them not only grow academically, but learn their social skills and how to cope and how to have confidence and have a good experience at school. It really varies. I have some students reading chapter books and writing paragraphs and who even learned multiplication with grandparents at home. I have others who you know, barely know the alphabet and are just really struggling.
There's a lot of catch up to do. Mickey, you've got 6th to 8th graders at Eva Mackay. I mean, middle school is just an awkward time to begin with. But what was it like for you teaching online and then being at home and all of that wrapped in with the pandemic?
It was a learning curve for sure. Not only was I needing to find a space to teach, but I also had my children at home. So it was kind of nerve-wracking because I'd be teaching and all of a sudden my son would come in and be like, hey, I need help with this. So it was a huge learning curve, but at our school we had this program where we could see their computer screens. So that really helped with the motivation. We could send them messages like, hey, are you okay? Do you need help? But it was definitely a learning curve.
Yeah, well, Ray, you're at Mid-Pacific, you're a 9th grade math teacher. And there was a period where in the middle of the pandemic, there was some people were in school, some people were out of school. So did you have to do both learnings at the same time?
Yes, I'd say that, you know, that moment of uncertainty, you know, where you know you're not going to have everyone in that classroom, and then not only are you splitting your attention in half, but it's almost like your heart is being split in half, and you know that something has happened to pull them home, and now you're every time it happens, the students are reacting, and so we're there to support them. You know, I felt much more like a counselor than I've ever felt, but it was like, how do I coach them back, and then I think all of us as teachers trying to believe in ourselves as we can help them through this. And it was a big ask, and we took it out on our body. I gained 10 pounds over the virtual
It's
learning.
okay, there's pandemic weight everywhere.
Yeah,
Don't worry about it. Oscar, why don't you give us some insight into what things have been like for you? You're a 9th grade teacher at Pearl City High, and we've heard, especially during the Delta surge, it was really difficult, especially for the administrators. They're dealing with contact tracing, and then they're just trying to get teachers to teach with everything going on around you. What was it like for you?
It was difficult at first, and what you got to keep in mind is as you're going through this, the students are going through the same thing. And you got to be empathetic, and you got to understand, if I don't get through all of them, then what can I do to ensure I get them to a halfway point, right? And you got to be empathetic because a lot of these kids had more responsibilities than ever before, especially in high school with 9th graders, 10, 11, 12, they could be the ones taking care of younger siblings at home. So it's just about being able to show the empathy and really help let the students know that we're there for them and we are available for them.
You know, the social emotional aspect, were there students who, even in a online format, did they share some really deeply personal things with you?
Yes, they did. And it kind of took a toll on me because I'm the type of person that I want to fix everything. And so when students would talk about, you know, I miss class because of personal things, or I'm, you know, watching my siblings, it was really difficult to just kind of sit there and be like, I can't fix it. You know, I can be there to listen. And so what was cool is we had this program where I could do video calls. So I would call some of them and just, you know, having that person to listen to them, to hear what they have to say, I think made a huge difference.
Ray, what about you? It wasn't just about teaching math, it was being a coach at times.
Oddly enough, that, you know, these virtual screens, given the ability to make these breakout rooms, they were almost more vulnerable. And it seems that they're used to being vulnerable via technology in a way that adults maybe aren't.
Wow. What about you, Carissa? I mean, you have such a diverse group of students, and some who are really far behind and others who are really far ahead. How do you get them all to go in the same direction when they're so different?
And that's where relationships are so key. That's the foundation of teaching. I'm sure you guys would agree that until my students are known and they feel cared for, and there's that safety to try and get something wrong and they know that no one's gonna laugh at them, you have to establish that classroom culture first. And my main goal is I want them to love learning. I want them to like school. I want them to be kind and have the aloha spirit. If you don't have that, then the learning won't happen.
Students share how they've evolved since the pandemic began. That's coming up.
Our students are our future. On behalf of more than 170,000 students, mahalo for your support for keeping our schools open and safe for in-person learning.
At Kamehameha Schools, we keep Keiki at the center of all that we do. We're asking you to help to keep all of our children in school. Mahalo nui loa.
What is an Oiwi leader? Do they move people with their words? Do they let their actions speak? Do they breathe life into the past? Do they have a vision for the future? We celebrate every Oiwi leader who are all of these things and more. Together, they're helping our Lahui rise.
Colliers is committed to building a better Hawaii, and our support for local education is a top priority. Thank you for doing your part to keep our students safe and our schools open.
What is an Oiwi leader? Do they move people with their words? Do they let their actions speak? Do they breathe life into the past? Do they have a vision for the future? We celebrate every Oiwi leader who are all of these things and more. Together, they're helping our Lahui rise.
The Hawaii Carpenters Union urges everyone to do their part to help stop the spread of COVID so our keiki can stay in school and look forward to a brighter future.
Time in school is critical to a student's success and being part of a stable local workforce. That's key to building strong families and communities.
Now more than ever, Hawaii needs to remain strong.
We need to work together to overcome this challenge.
Don't forget to do your daily wellness check.
Wear your mask in public.
And get vaccinated when you are able.
We love being back in school.
In a classroom with our teachers and friends.
We need your help in doing your part.
We are all partners in this because we are
Hawaii Strong.
Hawaii Strong.
Hawaii strong.
Hawaiian Electric is proud to sponsor Keep Our Schools Open. Our highest priority is to build a sustainable Hawaii in which our children, communities, and customers will thrive.
At Castle & Cooke, we believe in building a strong foundation for the future of Hawaii's KK. Please join us in keeping our schools open and safe for in-person learning. It's the right thing to do.
Take action to keep schools open. Get vaccinated. The future depends on teachers who are reinventing the modern classroom and starting their students on journeys that will change the course of history.
Explore a career that leaves a legacy you can be proud of. Shape the future. Teach.
Welcome back. We've covered a lot so far. We've talked about the early days of distance learning and how those days turned into weeks and then months. And then finally, we can happily tell you that we are all back in the classroom with our friends and hopefully permanently. Taylor from Waipahu High, do you think that people are more compassionate now or understanding of what everyone else is going through because we've all been through this collective experience?
Oh, definitely, for sure. A lot of people have become more empathetic, especially coming out of the pandemic. And I think universally, one thing that the pandemic has taught us was to be thankful for what we have before it's gone. And I mean, I don't even have to explain myself when I say that because I think all of us lost so much throughout this unprecedented time. But as we, slowly come back to normal, we begin to realize that I have to treasure what I have now. To the best of my ability.
Yeah, Angel from Hilo High, when you look back to March 2020, it just seems like an eternity. But if you also look at yourself, it's almost like you might feel like you're a different person. How do you think you've changed over this past year and a half?
it has really allowed me to reflect on my place in society. And we have to remember that not only did COVID-19 happen around March, but towards the end of the year, we've seen a lot of social unrest with different kinds of movements. And also that year was a presidential election year. And so there's certainly, at least on my part, I've reflected on a lot of different things and how I can make sort of a difference and how I can use my voice to create change in society. And not only that, it has also allowed me to really just open my mind more to different ideas and to really just be empathetic to people in terms of maybe how they feel and really just gain a greater understanding of this world beyond what I was before the pandemic.
I mean, I can think about when I was in high school, it was all about me and my friends and my goals, and to think about what all of you have been through is really phenomenal. Josh, I know that you're really into civics at Kamehameha Schools. How do you think that you've changed over the past year and a half?
I kind of felt like I was in this weird purgatory where, I wasn't sure what to do. But with the pandemic, I think it offered a lot to all of us. And for me, I just learned how to harness a lot of the different aspects of the pandemic that it gave to us, like Zooming our state legislators to lobby for bills, or spending my free time trying to create a club with one of my closest friends surrounding civics. I think it taught me that a lot of the things that we have right now can just be taken away. So we have to make the most of what we do have, even if we don't have a lot.
Kanoe, how do you think that the pandemic and COVID has really shaped and changed your generation?
Gonna be honest, I feel like some of us definitely were a lot more like us-centered, not so much, looking towards maybe the different things that our parents and our families may have sacrificed for us. I definitely think it's shaped me and reminded me, especially about, we are not guaranteed the time that we have with those that we love. And so to make sure that we're taking each day, and every hour that we have with them, that we're making the most of it, and actually, taking the time to spend with them instead of, being on TikTok or, other social medias and just, lounging around in our rooms, like actually taking the time to be with other people. I think COVID's really helped us to broaden our perspectives about that.
Namaka, what about you on Molokai? It can be a very small place, but you've broadened yourself over the last year and a half. Where do you see yourself going after this?
I see myself becoming a firefighter or either sailing on top the native Hawaiian canoes. That's where I see myself heading in the future. And what has made me strong going through COVID-19 was definitely my family.
What about you, Erin? How do you think that you've changed over the past year and a half?
It really changed me for the better. I've become more resilient with what life has in store for me, and it really told me to just challenge myself, just to strive for the better, especially with school, being it with virtual and everything.
Well, thank you so much for sharing your stories. It's been wonderful to speak with all of you in person. On behalf of Hawaii News Now, I'm Mahealani Richardson. Mahalo for joining us, and aloha.
For an extended edition of tonight's Town Hall, go to hawaiinewsnow.com.
At Kamehameha Schools, we keep Keiki at the center of all that we do. We're asking you to help to keep all of our children in school. Mahalo nui loa.
Our students are our future. On behalf of more than 170,000 students, mahalo for your support for keeping our schools open and safe for in-person learning.
We are always tracking severe weather to keep you safe.
First alert, we're watching a storm.
We are first to bring you breaking news.
We are holding authority accountable.
Use those body camera videos.
We are digging deeper to get results.
Investigation reveals new details.
We are reliable with updated and accurate information, however you get it.
We are committed. A first alert for drivers, there is a stall.
We are here for you. We are Hawaii News Now.
I want less screen time and more real time.
I want to perform for a crowd.
I want to hear the fans.
I want to keep going to school.
I want to make memories before I go off to college.
I want us to come out of this better and stronger.
Now it's our turn to speak up.
The actions you take now will affect our future. Keep us home when we're sick.
Stay away from crowds.
Get vaccinated.